So many two-strokes to choose from, but only one lifetime. Are you a smoker? Would you like to be a smoker? We have ridden many of these two-strokes, so this is our rough guide to which engine size might suit you, along with dyno charts. Let's start with the pint-sized screamers, the 125 two-strokes. A lot of riders overlook them due to the small engine, but with 35 to 40 horsepower, they are seriously fast if you know how to keep the revs up. Years ago, Shane Watts proved this by winning the International Enduro Championship on a 125. They are also featherweights, with some models under 100 kilos or 220 pounds with a full tank of fuel. A few years ago we reviewed the Beta RR125 and it was like riding a mountain bike. Despite bogging the engine down repeatedly, I was consistently faster on timed laps than the 250 and 300 two-strokes. Riders who might like the 125, young riders upgrading to their first full-sized dirt bike, older riders who love the scream of two-strokes but don't want to ride crazy fast for that thrill, and of course anyone on a budget. These 125s are so much cheaper. You will need to rebuild the engines more often, but the savings can be huge. We haven't ridden any of the 150 two-strokes yet, but they do get rave reviews from many riders. You can see in the dyno chart there isn't significantly more maximum power, but there's just more horsepower across the low to mid-range revs. It's interesting to see the power delivery is so linear nowadays compared to the very peaky two-strokes of yesteryear. Next, the 200 two-strokes. Again, these are often overlooked by many riders, which is a shame as they are so much fun to ride. KTM's 200 became a real hit in the late 1990s. I regularly get to ride this one. I'm always impressed with its ability to handle tough terrain. It does need more clutch work, but there's a surprising amount of grunt. Ditto for the Beta RR200 we reviewed a few years ago. It's interesting to see the 200 models can actually put out less maximum horsepower than 125s. But of course, there is way more power in the low to mid-range revs, which makes them very user-friendly. The 200s are great for anyone new to dirt riding. They're also very capable dirt bikes in the hand of skilled riders who want a motorbike that they can throw around easily on tighter tracks. The price is great too. Similar to the 125s, manufacturers have to price these 200s very competitively because most riders overlook them. Finally, the 250 and 300 two-strokes. Our group is into hard enduro, so these are our favourite engine sizes. You can see from the dyno chart there is way more grunt and the maximum revs are much lower. Maximum power is usually about the same in most brands, and while the difference looks small at lower revs, the engines do feel very different when riding. In a nutshell, the 300 is the grunt-meister and the preferred size for hard enduro, or everyday riders who prefer to lug their engines instead of revving. The extra power at lower revs can get less experienced riders into trouble faster though. Some riders say the 300 suits the lazy rider too. The broader range of power does mean less clutch slipping in gnarly terrain and fewer gear changes on faster tracks. The 250? It's lively, it revs up faster, it will be easier and less tiring for less experienced riders. On the flip side, experienced riders who love getting to the powerband will probably find the 250 a more rewarding experience. Some riders claim the 250 is more flickable on tight tracks due to less rotational mass, although I've never noticed this myself. The 250s do have less grunt, but the gap is narrowing. For example, one of our guys has the Sherco 250 SE with the electronic power valve, and we find the grunt is almost comparable to 300s in other brands. Another major point is the price difference. In some brands, the 250 is close to $1,000 cheaper, despite the same cost to manufacture. Why? They know most riders are obsessed with horsepower and will pay the extra money. And most of us see our enduro heroes winning championships on the 300. So we buy the same bike, even though 98% of us lack the skills to ever use all of that horsepower. It is worth noting there are detuned 250 and 300 two-strokes available. Beta has the 250 and 300 cross-trainer models. These have very similar grunt, but without the crazy maximum power figures. They are lighter, cheaper, and good for less experienced riders wanting a very light bike for technical terrain. Riehu has similar models in 200 to 300 sizes, but unfortunately they are quite a bit heavier. A few final points. You can read hundreds of reviews, but you won't really know if you like a bike until you have ridden it. Always try to get a test ride if possible. Don't automatically go for the most powerful engines. Most experienced riders admit they were obsessed with power and horsepower figures when they started dirt riding. Then they eventually discover they are faster and crash less on smaller bikes. Think about starting small, focus on your riding skills, then upgrade later. Two-strokes are very tunable nowadays. There's often a mapping switch that can dramatically change power delivery. Then there are so many aftermarket parts to get more grunt or turn your bike into a screamer. If you aren't quite happy with your choice, you can always tinker away for a better result. So, have you ridden some of these two-stroke models? Do you like the little screamers or the big grunt-meisters? Any favourites? We are keen to hear your thoughts. Let us know in the comments.